There is a microphone behind you if you feel like you need it.
Uh-huh.
He regrets saying.
And I'm not going to
It's me.
Something else happened to that, but I don't remember what. Okay.
And we're a small enough group you can just talk.
Yeah, no. How about we just talk? How's that? Any complaints? That could work.
Plenty.
Okay, if you can't hear us, let us know.
Yep. We always have EJ to pump us up.
Get it. I'm not.
Okay, we're on.
Hi everybody, welcome to Northside Democracy for America, whose mission is to elect progressive and ethical committed Democrats to office at all levels of government. We want to welcome any people that are watching this virtually for the first time.
And also, any people who are here in person for the first time.
Yes, please make sure NDFA has your email address by signing up at the table or at our website at ndfa.com. Okay.
NorthsideDFA.com is the website.
Let's give a shout out to 99 Perspectives, a technical support guru. Hello to Josh. Melissa, Joe, and me, Ray, will be our hosts during the event. It's a little noisy over here.
Yeah, we're going to close the door. That should help.
Our current steering committee members are...
That's Daniel, not John.
If you want to stand up, you don't have to, but if you want to. Maybe he'll pan the shot around. Mary, EJ, Kevin, Mary Claire, Joe, Melissa,
Wave, stand
Robert,
up,
Becky,
bye.
Thanks to Daniel from 99%.
The very non-Josh Daniel.
A real quick commercial. I'm always looking at stuff. I've learned there's about 65,000 homeless in Chicago.
That ain't right.
Of which the Chicago Recovery Plan earmarked $118.5 million to address homelessness, but only spent $18.7 million in 2022.
That ain't right either.
WTTW reported that means $98 million will be left over to be used for services in 2023. But what they don't understand is a lot of times that money doesn't roll over and we could lose it. So there's something going wrong there. Last week, Chicago received another $60 million from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, part of a $350 million national package of grants to address homelessness. Where is this plan to actually spend this money effectively? The Bring Home Chicago campaign would be a transformative measure to end homelessness in Chicago. Yet 25 alders couldn't even come to the city council meeting to discuss it.
That ain't right either.
Profoundly disappointing for the housed and unhoused Chicagoans. So that's the current news break. Okay. You become a voting member by attending 3 meetings and 3 activities to endorse candidates. Please report, someday I'll be able to read this.
So let me do it. So, voting member activities including knocking on doors, talking to people, phone banking, attending fundraisers, and a lot of other things. There's a lot of campaign work that needs to happen in the next couple of weeks to get our favorite candidates in, at least into the runoff, if not outright wins. So please, 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 go volunteer for your favorite candidate. You don't have to work for everybody, but working for somebody is really good and really important. And we have new forms on our website that you can report your both voting member activities and your attendance at meetings. If you don't get captured over here, you can report it. If you are online watching and want to claim it as a meeting attendance, there's a form to do that now.
There is
It's
a
on
QR code.
What?
There is a QR code.
Well, no, this is on our website. There is a form. You can go and report it. Please use that button on our website to report your activities, because you only become a voting member if you actually tell us that you're doing the activities and that you're attending our meetings. Because otherwise we don't know, because we're not psychic. So if you haven't signed in at the table, please do so.
But we are psychic.
Really not.
The world is going down.
And we're becoming more like a government every day. Don't forget about the tip jar that Joe can always, chip
Tip
our.
We have one here live. We also have one online on the webpage. So spare change, please spare some change.
Keep things going. Please eat and drink a lot. Our friendly fireside staff, and tip them really well too. Not just our tip jar, but their tip jar. Okay, so let's just
Get started.
get started. We have basically our format for today is we have a couple endorsed or non-endorsed candidates yet that we want to talk to for 10 minutes. And then after that, we're going to give everybody who has been endorsed and is here 5 minutes to just tell us where they're at and what's going on.
Okay, we're going to start with Darlene Cannon, who is running for Alderman in Evanston. So come tell us about your race, Darlene.
Yes.
By the camera. Well, thank you to NFDA for having me again. I was fortunate to have received your endorsement with the last election in 2021. And this is a special election that's coming up April 4th. A little bit about me: I was born and raised in Evanston, and I've lived in the 2nd Ward my entire life. I got married there. My husband and I raised our son there. We own a house there. It is basically the only home that we know. And that's one of the reasons why I am running. I think that it's time for a change and to move away from the status quo. And there are a lot of things that, obviously that I love Evanston, but there's a lot of things that I'd like to see change, especially pertaining to the quality of life for every single resident in Evanston. Some of the things that I am currently involved with is that I'm a board member of the Democratic Party of Evanston, an active board member. I am also, I was appointed to the Equity and Empowerment Commission with the City of Evanston, and I collaborated with Byron Sitchell Lopez to bring the first ordinance that I worked on, which was the anti-predatory developers, and then we also took 2 other ordinances that he worked on, and they right now are in the process of going through to council. And one of the reasons why, we had Byron come to our committee and talk about the ordinances and the impact that it's had, not simply just in his neighborhood, but throughout the entire city of Chicago. Because as I knocked on doors, a lot of people were telling me that they had developers or realtors calling, writing, emailing, asking them to sell their homes. And with the ordinance, the anti-predator ordinance, it prevents developers from harassing people so many times within a 90-day period. So, it's because of things like that that are happening in Evanston that I'm engaged. I'm also involved with an organization called CMP, which is Citizens Network of Protection. And we are working on having an independent, citizen-led police review board. And it reviews police incidents, but also it gives us, as citizens, an opportunity to be at the table when we're hiring people as well, so that we can have that next voice there. Yeah.
Okay,
Let's
let's take some questions from the audience. Do people have questions for Darlene? You did.
Certainly, who else is running in that election against you?
Right, so there are two other people who run, and they're both native Evanston and residents too. One is Chrissy Harris, and the other one is Patricia Gregory.
And is this a special election?
This is a special election, that's correct, because the incumbent stepped down in July. That I ran against, and he was a 3-time incumbent, and I came up short 71 votes. I really feel like I would have won had we not had, in the first time in Evanston's history, a dark money PAC, and in which they put about $25,000+ into negative ads about against the progressive candidates, and I came up short as a result of that.
And they didn't report it correctly.
Right. And they are now lurking in the background, looking to fund my opponents as well.
Both of the opponents?
I think at least just one. I don't know for sure.
Okay, Becky's got her hand up.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit more about the ward and the race? You know, I think when we think of Chicago ward, you know, we hear the number and it sort of summons up an image, and I think most of us aren't familiar with what Evanston ward is like, and I don't think most of us are familiar with like how many people and what the budget for an Evanston race is.
Right. Our budget was really increased because of the $43 million that we received in ARPA funds.
Oh, I'm sorry, your campaign budget.
Oh, my campaign budget. Okay, well, last time, you know, I ran a slim budget, slim campaign, where I raised $8,000. I would like to raise that or possibly double it this time. The board is made up, as you know, I was saying earlier, it gerrymanders a lot. So there's a lot of apartment buildings. We have a lot of Northwestern housing. We have a lot of condos. We have a lot of townhomes. We have a lot of different types of businesses within the ward. We have an Optimum building, which I think they have one everywhere. So we have an Optimum building, so that's more of a high-end condos. And we have a historic district. And we have, I call it, it's a plaza where we have a grocery store and numerous other businesses, restaurants.
What area exactly is it?
So it's kind of Dodge from Cleveland, and you kind of catch Cleveland at Oakton, which is a main street. So Cleveland is about 4 or 5 blocks north. And it goes all the way to Church Street, and then it hits downtown Evanston at Maple, which is where the Optimum building and the movie theater is.
Right.
And then it goes over to Emerson, and it kind of picks that up, and it goes all the way down Emerson to Wesley, where it hits our historic district. And it kind of weaves in and out of there. It kind of backs up to another ward called the 5th Ward. So.
Okay, Joe.
So I think I'm going to generalize grossly to lead to the question very quickly, but I think when those of us in NDFA think of Evanston, we either think of Northwestern, go Cats, thank you, or your mayor, Dan Biss, who is someone we have helped in several campaigns, definitely helped him out on his mayoral run. What can you talk about your relationship with him, and is he supporting you in your runoff?
Well, so he appointed me to the African Empowerment Commission. So so what happened is that when the incumbent stepped down, there was 12 people. Then it dwindled down to 7. And I'll say, as former Governor Quinn says, that normally they appoint the runner-up. That did not happen. Someone else got appointed instead of me. But this special election enables me an opportunity so he appointed someone else. And the special election allows the residents of Evanston and the second ward in particular, to vote as to who they want to be their next alderperson. I received 48% of the vote last time, so.
Steve?
Just to clarify, since we're mostly Chicagoans here.
Yes.
The Chicago ward has 50,000 people in it roughly.
Right.
How many people are in Ward 2?
I have to look at the exact numbers. I think it's somewhere around 6,700 people possibly. Our population went up in the last census about 4,000. So, but our ward is pretty big. We're over, I want to say like 1,500 people. You know, we're doing the redistricting, and comparing us to surrounding wards, we're over the number of
So
people.
about 7,000 people.
Yeah, say about 7,000, right. Kenneth, an EGHS version.
So what do you think are the biggest issues in Evanston right now that you would want to prioritize when you get in office?
Several things. We don't have enough affordable housing, and I think that's not just an Evanston problem, it's across the nation. We seem to be, we have a lot of developers who come in and they put units in, but they only stay affordable for 15, 20 years. And unless we're going to do away with the wealth income, that's just not enough time. We need units that will stay affordable indefinitely. So, you know, how does that look? In states like Texas and in Houston, the city bought actual units. And they're in TOD district, transit-oriented districts, and they're gonna have mixed income. And so I think, you know, with us doing some sort of things like that, we can help families. Right now in our school district 65, we have, the last time I checked, it was about 260 families who were either unhoused or underhoused. So meaning that maybe a family of 5 was living in a 2-bedroom. So, you know, that housing is number one. And I think the next thing is that our budget, you know, the budget is supposed to be a moral document, and we really need to be more, and it would be my job as the elected official to be the guardian of the budget, to ensure that we're spending the money that we have the best that we can for our residents, so we don't raise taxes, for example. I think the biggest thing, travesty I saw this year was that the police and fire pension, we only had to pay, we would only owe $7 million each year, but we paid $25 million because we have all this back pay in interest. So just imagine having a credit card and you're paying the minimum payment. You're just gonna have all this, you know, accruing interest, and that's what it is. And so this year was the first time that we did pay instead of 90%, we paid it at 100%. So going forward, we need to work on concrete plans to pay the fund the pension at 100%, and you know, make sure that other things like that are not continuously happening, so that we're not wasting the taxpayers' dollars.
All right, I'm going to give you your 1 minute to wrap it up.
Okay. So, you know, again, you know, thank you. And, you know, I'm running because I like I said, I grew up here. So I think that Evanston can be better than what it is. And I want to be part of making Evanston better and more livable for every resident. We always, you know, we pride ourselves saying as we're a livable city, but I always question who is it livable for? And we need to think about the quality of life, you know, and the affordability, and just, you know, making sure that we're not looking at cutting services in order to balance the budget. So, thank you.
Affordable housing in 15 years is a farce. That 15-year cutoff should be forever. Because in 15 years, then there's no affordable housing. But, okay, we're gonna go on to Jim Sue, who's in the 40, running for alderperson in the 45th district.
Where's the four?
Ward
45.
Okay. Where is he? There he is. And he did great at the debate. He just kicked it out of the. Okay,
But I appreciate
I'll
that.
have to get two
Okay,
minutes.
make sure the light is in your eyes so that you stand in line.
Okay, it's burning my retinas as we speak. So, yeah. I'm James Saw, running for 45th Ward, Alderman. Just a little bit about myself. I've lived in the ward for 10 years now. A local small business owner. I've been doing that for a decade as well. I've lived up on the northwest side pretty much all of my life. Over on Nelson here in Toulouse, where I was raised. Currently, when you live on the northwest side, it's very important to state that you get out there for the entirety of your life. So, you know, out there, the big priorities I would say are economic development. All of down Milwaukee are a series of just shuttered storefronts, and we do want to see that area revitalized. That certainly is how I first got involved in advocacy. So right at Six Corners, there was a large development. It's called The Point. It's a mixed-use senior living commercial development that was obstructed for political reasons by our favorite friend, the incumbent. At the time, great crowd, I love this guy. At the time, you know, I was not really politically engaged at all. I just wanted to see some progress and investment in my neighborhood. I organized a rally in support of that. We had 200 members, community members, neighbors come out for that. And the media came out. Following that, there was a lot of momentum. We formed a grassroots organization called Six Corners Organizing for Progress and Engagement. We organized a letter writing campaign, DBT, really helped move that forward. So that was my first foray into community advocacy for the benefit of the area. Following that, you know, the incumbent just retaliated against me instantly within a span of days. So things progressed from that point, and that certainly is how I kind of got to be where I am today. You know, I saw that we very clearly need a change in our leadership that is ethical and principled, dedicated to integrity. So I just want to talk a little bit about our campaign, just to get a sense of, you know, so everyone knows that I came in late. I was a bit of a spoiler, and well, you know, maybe I can just cut it short here because I think I don't want to go.
You did it too much.
I don't want to go too long here, and I think people are going to ask the questions I'm about to answer anyway. So let's open it up.
Okay,
All right.
question time. Anybody? Becky?
Do you have any endorsements?
I have Teresa Ma, she's state representative, and there's a few others that are kind of coming down the pipe. We're not going to maybe say anything about it right this minute, but there's other ones that we should have later on in the week.
Is Representative Ma supporting you financially?
Yes. She's donated to our campaign.
Steve.
So, as I recall, this organization endorsed different candidates in your ward. And I know we can do multiple endorsements, but I think the question is, given that we endorse a different candidate, why do you believe that you would be a better alderman, or maybe just a better candidate for the ward than the person who's already endorsed?
So there are a number of different candidates in the race. That's certainly true. And to your point, yes, I'm aware that another candidate has been endorsed. I will say I got into this race because I had concerns about the viability of the other candidates. I want to make sure that this incumbent doesn't make it, you know, certainly not outright. So I want to do my part to make sure that that's the case. So far as what my strengths and viability as a candidate myself are, I'm the only candidate in the race who can really tangibly point to some certain things, like the point rally that I organized, you know, pressing for economic development, and then also to the larger issue of standing up to some of the unethical behaviors that we've seen coming out of our leadership. I've really stuck my neck out. Again, I've been retaliated and harassed as a result of that, but it's something that I've done well before I thought about running for office, just because I personally have a very strong commitment to principles and integrity. Felt that kind of behavior needs to be called out, and I just felt that I couldn't stand by and not do that. So those are ways that I've stood out from the other candidates.
David had his hand up next.
Yeah. In Chinatown, in which you indicated some reluctance to criticize the police, and in fact, you told me that the reason that you did not is because we had come out with a statement attacking the police department for not firing an officer who was associated with the Proud Boys. I wonder if you could expand on that conversation.
Sure. So it is certainly a difficult thread, needle to thread up on the northwest side. You cannot really come out strongly with, well, I mean, we all know what defund the police means. Not everybody else does. To them, it means something else entirely. When we talk about what the issues actually are, like investing in public health infrastructure as a whole, when we're talking about spending for mental health resources, for substance abuse specialists, and the kind of resources that take that burden away from officers to allow them to focus on violent and dangerous crimes, we're talking about what the defund the police movement is all about. But when we talk about it in those terms, then of course everybody is on board, because everybody recognizes that mental health is an issue, that substance abuse is an issue, that we have officers responding to the types of non-violent domestic disputes, mental health calls, and things of the sort that, number one, don't add to public safety, when we're speaking in regards to violent and dangerous crimes, and number two, that the police aren't equipped to respond to and frankly don't want to respond to. So, I certainly do try to pass that message along, but in a way that isn't going to immediately turn off that certain demographic that we're talking about on the northwest side.
Okay.
What about the Proud Boys? David just said.
I mean, I don't think there's anybody anywhere that is okay with the Proud Boys being on the Chicago Police Department. I don't think there's anybody anywhere who's okay with lying about your affiliation with that organization, and not. I mean, I think for sure, the actual tone and substance of that piece, I don't have an issue with per se. I don't think that maybe the characterization of our conversation was specifically around that, or saying that that wasn't like a message that would be universally received.
I'm glad to hear your public speaking was really good.
Thank you. I disagree, but thank you.
My question is, being a resident in the 45th Ward, or soon to be like 38th Ward, we've got to read it out of the word. But one of the things is, when I tell people I live in the 45th Ward, they just kind of roll their eyes, especially from a political standpoint. So really, there is no political organization that exists in the 45, because the current committeeman there, your opponent, is not built anything. So my question to you is, win or lose, could you help us? Are you committed to trying to build an organization within the 45th Ward, so we have a progressive Democratic organization?
Sure. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Of course, we should have that. And to your point, the reason we don't is because we have an incumbent who is technically the leader of the Democratic Party within the ward, but actually isn't.
Yeah, which may be a Republican.
Right. Yeah. Exactly that. I mean, so for one, if I were to win, I would not myself run for committee person. That I would commit to immediately right here in front of you folks, because I don't believe that the aldermen should have that consolidated base of power. That being said, would I be committed to building a coalition of Democrats within the 45th Ward? Yeah, absolutely. And if I were to lose, I would still be equally committed. I just don't know the level of effectiveness that I would have in trying to achieve that.
No, understood.
Ed.
So I drove down Mason a couple of days ago, and I was honestly a little bit shocked at how many Gardner signs I saw, and not just like small ones, but enormous ones. It seems like he actually does represent the ward in a lot of ways, and the thinking of the ward in a lot of ways. When you were talking, you said you thought you were more viable than other candidates for another reason, and you didn't quite get to that because you were cut off. So I want to know, if he's that popular, how do you beat him, and why you and not the other candidates?
So number one, I will say, don't be discouraged. He's actually not that popular. So signs don't vote. We all know that. We have the
Rita
list.
had a lot of signs too.
There's that, but we have vans, so we know who's a registered voter. We know who turns out for municipal votes. And when we look at the vast majority of those signs on those houses, those people are not on the list. And then if you factor in multi-unit buildings where it's either the landlord who doesn't want to get messed around with, or Gardner just putting out signs because he knows that these are multi-unit buildings and everyone else is going to assume that someone else put those signs up. It's all a shell game, and we've seen and heard lots of anecdotes where their goal, for me, when I go out and I get a sign, my goal is for someone to show the support they have for our campaign. For them, the sign is the goal in and of itself, which I think is very emblematic of a lot of the performative things that the incumbent does. It's exactly that, trying to give the appearance of support without even doing voter persuasion or doing anything to legitimately earn support. So
Okay,
don't
we
be
have
discouraged in that
time
regard.
for one more question, and it goes to
He
Kevin.
didn't answer
Goes
my
to
question
Kevin.
about why he's the best candidate of them, and that was my
He
main
can
thought.
answer that question in his minute wrap up. So, Kevin has a question.
I'll come speak to you for that if you have time.
Okay, so affordable housing is an issue everywhere in the city and suburbs. However, you could say that it was a critical issue in this election 4 years ago in your ward, especially with what has happened with a particular parcel that was causing so much of the consternation in what its new purpose is. So, understanding that, how are you going to tackle the issue of affordable housing in your ward, understanding all those people who put out the Gardner signs will be coming after you with pitchforks if you even bring up the subject?
So very first and foremost, we kind of need to like frame what affordable housing is, right? Because there's a lot of dog whistles, there's a lot of conflating affordable housing with other things. But affordable housing applies equally to someone who's paid off their mortgage, but now their tax bill is higher than their mortgage bill ever was. It applies to renters who have been in the ward for a decade plus, and suddenly, 1 year to the next, their rent has doubled, due to property taxes, things of that sort. These are the kind of messages that can resonate with the kind of people that you're talking about, and kind of, I guess, like de-escalate that loaded term that is affordable housing. So once we get into those kind of conversations where we recognize that it's seniors living on a fixed income there in the ward that we want to keep, that it's working families who are on a working class wage that we want to keep and attract also that kind of demographic to the ward, then I think we're in a better place to have those conversations. So I think, to your point about all of the vitriol and the divisiveness, I think a lot of that comes from the framing and not really kind of having the sort of conversation. We need to have the patience and the temperament to have those kind of conversations so that it makes sense for everybody.
Okay, you have a minute to wrap up and
Sure.
tell us.
I'm going to answer Ed's question here, just in my 1 minute here. I do believe I'm the best person in this race because I'm the only person who has worked as a peer programmer downtown, worked in a service-oriented small business that caters to the public. I do have a wide breadth and depth of experience that's unique to me solely as a candidate. And then again, just to kind of reiterate, I am the only candidate out there who has really demonstrated a true commitment to ethics and principles, because people can say that when you're running for office. Everybody says that, but you don't have to take my word for it because I do have a demonstrated track record of doing it.
All right, then. Thank you. Right up here.
Let's not forget the little rats
Yeah,
out there.
forget the YMCA part.
Oh, yeah, it does wrap around now over here.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
where's the fort? Okay.
Okay, our next person to be interviewed will be Nick Ward.
Okay, well, actually, we're transitioning into, so now we're doing updates, right?
Okay, so now our next phase is we've heard from 2 candidates tonight who we have not heard from before. We are now hearing from candidates who we have endorsed, whose help we could give in the next couple of weeks, because the election is the 28th. So, Nick?
Nick's coming up I do want to say something about 5150, which is the affordable housing unit that everybody complained about. Right now, it's a stellar place. It brings in lots of people from the community that needed housing, affordable housing, and it should be a model that older people use.
Okay, Nick.
Great. Hi, everyone. Nick Ward again. Nice to see you all.
Stand in the light.
Stand in the light. Stand in the light. I've been doing theater for a long time, as Joe knows. So yeah, I'm an NDFA endorsed candidate from the 48th Ward, which is right here. And you know, Northside Democracy for America was one of the earliest endorsing organizations of my campaign, and I'm so grateful to be back here with 20 days to go until the February 20th election. Since I've been here, I'm so proud to have been endorsed by the Cook County Colleges Teachers Union, the Illinois Nurse Association, and the Chicago Teachers Union, along with the One People's Campaign, the Sierra Club, and elected officials Carlos Ramirez Rosa and Anthony Joel Quesada. So the campaign has really been built. Yes, you should clap for Anthony and Carlos. The campaign has really been building a lot of exciting momentum. But I also wanted to take a moment to speak with transparency and openness about some allegations that were in the Girl I Guess guide that was released at the end of January. So as many of you know, there were allegations in that guide that a person closely associated with the campaign had been falsely claiming to be Latina when in fact she was not, and using that claim to amass power and influence within my campaign, as well as other political spaces around Chicago. And so, like many of you, when you read that on Monday, January 24th, that's when I heard about it too. And so we took swift action. That person is no longer part of my campaign, nor will they be moving forward. And one of the things that's really come out of that is that the One People's Campaign conducted an internal investigation, met with myself and members of my team, and just yesterday announced that the membership of the One People's Campaign has unanimously decided to reaffirm their endorsement of my campaign and resume their field work. So I'm so grateful for the opportunity for to have them conduct that internal investigation, and really grateful that they've decided to continue working with me as we move forward for the next 3 weeks. So right after the allegations that I just spoke about came out, mailers started to hit the doors in the 48th Ward. That's right, thank you, Denali. So, at least 4, as of today, 4 mailers have hit all doors in the 48th Ward, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and they are funded by the Get Stuff Done PAC. And the Get Stuff Done PAC is a collection of Republican donors, hedge fund managers, Rahm Emanuel advisors who are spreading money around Chicago, in Denali's race as well, but they are specifically attacking me in the 48th Ward. They have not endorsed a candidate, but they are, I believe, afraid of my support for workers' rights, afraid of my support for public education, afraid of my insistence that we are no longer going to be endlessly privatizing city services. So just in my race alone, they have spent $20,000 attacking me. They still have $1.1 million in the bank to spend around Chicago. So they are coming for myself, and they're coming for, quite frankly, a lot of the other NDFA endorsed candidates in a variety of ways. And so my campaign, as you all know, is built by people power. 70% of the money that we have raised on this campaign has come from individual contributions, and that will continue. But in order to keep fighting back, we need to keep fighting back with people power. So we are having a fundraiser next Thursday. It's the last fundraiser before the February 28th election at Ellipses Coffee House on Devon. There are flyers on your tables there. We would love if you're able to attend. It's our Pathway to Election Day fundraiser. We also are continuing to build out the people power of the campaign. So we have canvases Saturdays at 11 and 2 p.m., most Sundays at noon, Tuesday nights, and then we're also doing phone banks Monday, Wednesday, and Friday nights. And actually the Sierra Club is hosting Monday afternoon postcard writing parties in the office at noon, which is a great opportunity to handwrite a bunch of postcards to people in the 48th Ward. So that is a number of ways that we're able to participate, because Get Stuff Done might have the money, but we have the people, and we know that that is what is going to carry my campaign through. So thank you all so much. I have these, just flyers here if anybody wants to learn more about next Thursday. But really grateful for the opportunity and great to see you.
Thank you. Go Nick. Our next super duper qualified candidate is Denali Gupta. She's running in the 39th Ward, my ward. She's running against somebody who's been just given a lot of money from the Get Stuff Not Done PAC. And yes, and that person has also been endorsed by the FOP/Trump support. So let's give Denali her 5 minutes.
Yes, hello. On my way up, I give a big shout out to my favorite friend, and my favorite neighbor who lives behind the fence behind our office. I'm Denali Gupta. I'm running for alderman of the 39th Ward. The 39th Ward is up here, for those of you who don't know. And one thing that we've had a lot of success talking to people about is that the 39th Ward is a political boundary, but what it is a series of communities. And so on the back of our lit and everywhere we go, we talk about how this mass of 50,000 people who have some political power allocated to them are actually a series of small communities. And when you break 50,000 people down into 10-ish communities, you've got about 5,000 people. And you will line those people around schools, around commercial corridors, around wanting a bus route on Elston, around parks, around variability in the property tax rate. But most of all, you work really hard to align them around all the things that haven't happened. And one of the things that I think is a really exciting contrast to the individual that Ray was talking about is we're an all-volunteer campaign. We've raised slightly more than 10% of what the incumbent has raised. We are going hard really based on the idea that trusted neighbor-to-neighbor communication succeeds when divisiveness, misinformation, and like you said, outside money come in and they try to dedicate a lot of their effort to making sure that democracy doesn't happen. And when I say democracy doesn't happen, I specifically speak to the way the Get Stuff Done PAC is working, because what they want to do is set up this false dichotomy between what happens at the ward level and what happens downtown at city council. And there's this idea that if you get your trash picked up and you get your potholes filled, you do not have the right to ask about anything else. There's this idea that what happens locally has nothing to do with what happens politically. And it's been really, really interesting to watch as progressive and democratic-focused movements have swept across the city to let people see for themselves what happens to ward services when you unlock other money. What happens to people when you talk to them, you give them information, you talk to them about policy. Because I'm a first-time candidate. I come out of a research background, and the last thing anybody wants to do is sit down and talk to budgets. Talk to you about budgets. And the single most successful thing we've done has been mapping the menu money that was spent on street resurfacing in our ward over the last 4 years, and just walking around on the doors and going, okay guys, what do you see? What don't you see? And it has been a way to get people to come out of their houses, to get engaged, and to flip the script on so many things that have become conventional wisdom about what wins, what loses, what's risky, what's traditional, what's old, and what's new. And I think that that's been the biggest lesson that I've learned.
Into the mic, because I think it's getting a little loud.
And so, you know, my mother came here in January to help me out with my kids during the last stretch of this, and the best advice that I have gotten from her and from other people is you run the race in front of you as the candidate that you are. And there has been literally nothing better for running against a ghost than being a real person. There's been nothing better than running against money with people. There's been nothing better to run against misinformation and vague promises than real specifics and footnotes. And I think that that's been one of the best things. We've got a couple more weekends left. We've got some canvases folks can sign up for. But one thing we really want to do is continue to talk and listen to folks in this room who have watched how things have happened, to continue to inform our strategy, and to continue to help us take this over the line, because we hope if and when we do this, it's going to change the way that elections are going to run, particularly municipal aldermanic elections in the next cycle. So thank you so much for your time.
No, Nally's campaign is that I've been on it and really been working hard on it, and she's really brought up the young families, the young people that have kind of given up on the city and the politics. And she's hopeful. She's actually getting stuff done and not even elected yet. So, okay, we're going to go on to our next candidate.
Hold up the mic while you're
Thanks, Joe.
talking.
Is
Katie?
Katie from
Juan Pablo Pietro's campaign. Katie?
We're going to go really fast and get you back in the
You're fine. You're fine. You got 5 minutes. You're good. You're good.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Katie. Lots of you have met me already. We've been here several times. We are so thankful to have NDFA's endorsement for Juan Pablo Prieto's campaign, 34 Alderman. So the 30th ward goes from Narragansett to Central Park. Addison goes all the way down the ward, and then Belmont at the Fullerton at the very bottom, and then Irving Park at the very top.
It's a big squiggly line.
Very squiggly.
Yeah.
This is Brian.
Yes. Hey, I'm Brian. I probably don't need this. But as it's already been said, we are only 20 days away from Election Day. The 30th ward is an open seat. Alderman Raboyras is retiring. And I think in this year, we have a really big opportunity to elect a brand new city council in this city. Juan Pablo is a fantastic candidate. You guys know that. That's why you're supporting him. We are running against 2 very heavy machine candidates right now. One whose dad is a congressman, and one who has the support of Alderman Raboyras. They are duking it out right now. That presents a really big opportunity for us to actually get a real progressive elected in this ward, but it's going to take help from all of you guys. You know that these campaigns are won by people out there knocking on doors every day. Juan Pablo's out there as much as he can be. He is but one man, and so we need your help. So if you have an hour to spare, if you have 3 hours to spare, we're going to be having a big day of action on Saturday at 10 a.m. If any of all of you can come, one of you, all of you, we would be so overjoyed to have you. Katie here has a sign-up sheet.
I would also like to point out that we're being very intentional about how much we're printing, how much we're mailing. So we need the people to come out and knock doors with us, to talk to people about why Juan Pablo is the best candidate for the 30th ward. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so please sign up.
Where is it? Where is it on Saturday? Tell us where it is. Give us deets. Give us deets.
Our campaign office, 5714 West Belmont, 10 a.m. Sign-up sheets back there. You can also visit our website, www.juanpabloprieto.com. There's a link to sign up at the very bottom.
I'll call you.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you for the deets.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're now switching from aldermanic races to the... Wait. Oh, Marianne! I'm sorry, Marianne Lalonde. Becky is here to talk for Marianne Lalonde. Sorry.
I am not Marianne Lalonde. I should be on the list. I signed in. So I'm here on behalf of Marianne Lalonde. I also happen to be an NDFA steering committee member. If you don't know me, I'm Becky Levin. So Joe and I are both on Marianne's kitchen cabinet. You have her literature on the table. It's awesome literature, but I'm biased because we helped in designing it. But a couple things, Marianne, like everyone else, like everyone else, you know, would love your support to come out and volunteer. We'll be canvassing all weekend. You can come to Marianne's office, which is 4740 North Sheridan Road all weekend. We'll be sending out canvasses all weekend. There's also a large part of the ward, so the 46th ward on the lakefront here, right? So there are a lot of high rises that are basically impossible to get into and knock. So we do need a lot of help phone banking, text banking. So if knocking on doors is not your thing, don't worry, we've got you covered. On this piece of literature here, there's a QR code. Scan the QR code. You can get information about all the volunteer opportunities from now through February 28th by scanning that code. For those of you who aren't familiar with Marianne, obviously we endorsed her, which is great, but Marianne is a terrific candidate in that she is a PhD scientist, right? So she knows policy. She's going to be able to get in there and be the first scientist on the city council, which is very exciting. But she's also deeply involved in the community. So if you look at the literature, the theme we have here is Marianne is all over this map because she's done deep work in every part of the ward. And Marianne knows the 46th ward like the back of her hand because she does. And there's no other candidate in the race who really brings that combination of the on-the-ground involvement with the ability to represent the ward of the people of Chicago in city council. So like Denali said, we shouldn't be forced into making these artificial choices or tell people that they don't get a say in policy as long as their potholes are getting filled. With Marianne, we can really have both, so she could really use your support. So please come out. And you can also use the QR code to donate, so please do that as well.
All right. Now we get to move on to the police district council races. And I'm going to call up Beth first, because Beth and Anthony and Steve are running in my police district council, so she gets to go.
Our police district.
There you go.
Both of them. Hi, thank you so much, NDFA, for endorsing our slate. We are A, B, Steve. It's as easy as 71, 2, 3. So we do have a little video out there, out in the world on Facebook and what have you, so please check it out. But we are 1, 2, 3 on the ballot, so to help people know that, to pick the first 3 and forget the rest. I just want to say that I guess we're working really hard to be the voice of the community in the 17th district. We are the most diverse slate. Anthony is a young man of color and indigenous who works in the community to involve young people in being in positive pursuits in the area. Steve, as many of you know, has been a member here for a long time. I say he's our middle-aged guy. He's been on some local school councils.
This is being streamed live.
We have middle-aged, and then we have me, the old lady of the group. I'm a nurse practitioner by profession. And I tell people that in healthcare, we're required to use evidence and data in order to plan the care that we provide to patients. And I believe that that's what the police should be using in the work that they do. And that will be the best way to keep us all safe as we go forward. We, like everybody else, have canvassing going on this weekend. If anybody wants to join us, I guess the best way to tell people online is you can go to my website. It's beth417dc.com. There is a sign up way to support there, and I'll get that information and we'll get you out on the streets. The 17th district is large. It goes from Devon to Belmont. and the river to Cicero. So we have 67 precincts that we're trying to cover. We have been endorsed by a lot of people, so we have a good bit of help from some of the local IPOs, but we definitely could use you know, more hands door knocking, more funds. So you can go to my website, and I link to both Steve and Anthony. So any and all of us will take any donations that anybody has. And I think that's it. Great. Am I supposed to answer?
Thank you, Beth. Thank you, Pete.
Okay, we have two more representatives for the district council, and I'm just going on the order that they are on the list. So Deirdre O'Connor is next. Hi there. Am I in the light? No, you guys will go forward. I don't know. I'm really pale, so I might not even exist. Hi there. I'm Deirdre O'Connor. I'm running in the 20th Police District. Those boundaries are Peterson to Lawrence, the river to the lake. So we have a bit of 46. We have a bit of 47. A little bit of 48. Majority 40. Born and raised in the 40th Ward. Some updates on our campaign. We've been out here knocking a lot, but the FOP continues to challenge the legitimacy of our slates. So us and two other slates here in 24 and 19 continue to get challenged by the FOP. Our faithful and rigorous lawyer, Ed Mullen. He deserves all of that applause. He is helping us fight the FOP, who continuously wants to kick us off the ballot and not allow us ballot access, despite having 3 times the amount of signatures needed, having talked to hundreds of neighbors, knocked on thousands of doors. So we hope that this will be the last appeal, but I have a feeling we have 20 days, so I don't know what that means. So I am running in the 20th alongside Gerald Akers and Anna Rubin. Anna Rubin and I were endorsed by NDFA, so thank you guys so much. Thank you for this opportunity to be here. We also have canvases, and we also need money to fight the FOP. So if you are in the 20th or you just feel inclined, you can visit our 20thdistrict.com, sign up for a canvas shift or donate, and yeah, we're super excited to continue the next 20 days and fight for ballot access alongside accountability. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for the opportunity, and yeah. Great. Thank you. Come up, Louie.
Oh, you do better than that.
Yeah. She brought props.
Yeah, it's all about the curse. Good evening. Thank you so much for letting me be here this evening.
Yes, stand from the light.
My name's Julie Caviar. My pronouns are she, hers, and I'm running for the 19th Police District Council because I believe that we do not have to choose between safety and justice. Period. Mic drop. I have a motto for my campaign. It's Caviar Cares, because I believe that we can build a collaborative, accountable, responsible, and equitable community safety for everyone. Now, how could that be possible? How could that be possible in the face of Tyree Nichols' public execution? How is that possible in the face of hundreds of thousands of dollars in police misconduct settlements right here in Chicago and 700 murders every single year? Well, justice is just in my blood. You see, my Jewish grandfather enlisted in the army at the age of 17 to go fight in World War II and somehow did not die in the Battle of the Bulge. And my mother was orphaned in the Caribbean at the age of 13 on an island so small that it was not even a dot on the map when I was in grade school. She left St. Vincent and struggled to create a life here in America that built for her children beyond their ancestors' wildest dreams. And so when I stand here before you to say that I believe that we can and must fight for a better future, you know that it's in my bones. Now, I built a career off of doing just that. I worked for Governor Deval Patrick in Massachusetts fighting for healthcare and welfare. I worked for a nonprofit serving behavioral health with children and Defenders 5. And I worked for police reform in City Hall. And now as Cook County's Commissioner Scott Britton's Chief of Staff, I'm fighting for voting rights and women's rights, and wrote the first renters' rights for suburban Cook County has ever seen. And we know that experience matters because we know how to pull the levers of government, and we know how to build coalitions and get things done.
And how can people help you?
Yes, and how can people help me? Thank you so much. I have a fundraiser on Saturday. I have one next Wednesday at Merkel's as well. I've got a day of action on the 18th that I would love folks to help me with door knocking, and certainly phone calls are always welcome as well. You can go to www.juliecaviar.com, that's caviar with a K, K-A-V-I-A-R, to learn more. Thank you so much.
All right. We are going to take a 5-minute break, and then we're going to come back and have a members meeting, maybe short. We do need to get out of the room by 8:30, 8:40. So if you want to settle your bill, that would be good too. Okay, great. Thanks.
Thank you.